There is a specific kind of silence that feels heavier than any argument you will ever have with a woman. It is the silence that follows a week of perfect chemistry, late-night conversations, and the kind of electric connection that makes you feel like you have finally found something real. Then, without warning, the temperature changes. The texts get shorter. The emojis disappear. The invitations for dinner are met with maybe, or I'm just really busy right now. You are left staring at your phone, feeling a mixture of anxiety, frustration, and a desperate need to fix whatever it is you think you broke. Let me be honest with you, what you are feeling right now is exactly what causes most men to lose the woman they desire. You feel a loss of control, and in your attempt to regain it, you are likely about to make a series of mistakes that will turn her temporary distance into a permanent departure. Here is the truth you need to hear. Hot and cold behavior is not a random glitch in her personality, and in the vast majority of cases, it is not a calculated game designed to make you suffer. It is a biological and psychological response to the pacing of the connection, her own emotional safety, and your internal stability. If you can understand the hidden mechanics of this behavior, you stop being a victim of her moods, and you start being the leader of the relationship. Most men view a woman's withdrawal as a problem to be solved or a fire to be extinguished. They think if they just explain themselves better, if they just show more affection, or if they demand to know where we stand, the warmth will return. But that is not how attraction works. Attraction is not a negotiation. It is a reaction to energy. When she goes cold, she is not asking for a map of your feelings. She is checking to see if you have your own compass. We need to move away from the idea that her inconsistency is a personal attack and start seeing it as a diagnostic tool. This shift in perspective is what separates the men who are constantly confused by women from the men who command respect and long-term interest. To navigate this, we have to look at the internal motives that drive a woman to step back. Let me be honest with you, women are wired to be more sensitive to the pacing of a relationship than men are. While you might be focused on the goal, getting to the next date, the next milestone, the next level of intimacy, she is focused on the feeling of the present moment. If the momentum starts to feel like a runaway train, her natural instinct is to pull the emergency brake. This isn't because she doesn't like you, it's because she needs to make sure she still likes herself when she is with you. She is protecting her autonomy. She is recalibrating her own emotions to see if they are real or just a product of the honeymoon chemicals. Here's the truth. A woman who never goes cold is often a woman who isn't actually evaluating you. The fact that she is fluctuating means she is actually considering the weight of the connection. Now, I want to offer you a perspective that you won't get from your friends or from most dating gurus. I am going to speak to you from the internal female perspective, the part of the mind that even she might not be consciously aware of in the moment. When I, or any woman, pull back, it's often because we've sensed an inconsistency in the man's energy. Maybe you became too available too quickly. Maybe you started looking to us for your happiness instead of bringing your own happiness to the table. The moment a woman feels like she has become the center of a man's world before he has truly earned that place, it creates a sense of pressure. It feels like we are carrying the weight of your emotional well-being, and that is not attractive. It's exhausting. We go cold because we need to see if you are an anchor or a kite. A kite blows away the moment the wind changes. An anchor stays put regardless of the weather. If she goes cold and you start chasing, you've just proven you're a kite. You've shown that your emotional state is entirely dependent on her attention. This realization is your paradigm shift. You have been taught that persistence wins the girl. Let me be honest with you, persistence in the face of her withdrawal is actually a form of disrespect for her boundaries. It signals that your need for reassurance is more important than her need for space. Here is the truth. Space is the oxygen of attraction. Without it, the flame goes out. When she pulls back, it is an invitation for you to return to your own life, your own mission, and your own masculine core. It is a test, not a conscious one, but a subconscious vetting process. She is asking, if I am not here to provide you with validation, do you still know who you are? Most men fail this test because they view doing nothing as losing. In reality, in the world of high-level attraction, doing nothing is often the strongest move you can make. It demonstrates that you are not easily shaken, that you have a high value that doesn't fluctuate based on a text message, and that you respect her enough to let her feel the consequences of her own distance. Let's talk about the actionable behavioral corrections you need to implement immediately. The first step is what I call the mirror and match protocol, but with a masculine twist. If she pulls back 20%, you pull back 25%, not out of spite, and not to play a game, but to restore the balance of investment. If she takes 6 hours to reply, you do not reply in 6 seconds. You reply when it is convenient for your busy, productive life. You must stop over-texting. If you look at your message history and it's a wall of blue bubbles from you and 1 or 2 gray bubbles from her, you are suffocating the attraction. You need to stop asking, "Is everything okay?" Or "Did I do something?" These questions are the ultimate attraction killers. They scream insecurity. Instead, you must remain the steady state. When she does finally reach out, and if the attraction was real, she will. You do not punish her with coldness or reward her with over-eagerness. You remain the same calm, confident man you were when she was hot. This consistency is what builds trust. It shows her that she cannot knock you off your center. Another crucial correction is the re-engagement of your mission. The reason you are so affected by her cold behavior is likely because you have made her your primary source of dopamine. You need to return to the gym, return to your business goals, and return to your brotherhood. When a woman senses that you have a world that exists entirely without her, she becomes curious about that world again. She wants to be invited back into it. Let me be honest with you. A man who is too safe and too predictable becomes boring. Hot and cold behavior often occurs because the challenge has vanished. By pulling back yourself, you reintroduce the challenge. You remind her that your attention is a gift, not a given. You are effectively saying, "I enjoyed our time together, but I am also perfectly fine without you." This is the most attractive energy a man can project. It's not about being a jerk or being manipulative, it's about having self-respect. Here is the truth. You cannot negotiate someone into liking you. You can only lead them into feeling attraction through your actions and your presence. If she goes cold and stays cold, even after you've given her space and remained grounded, then you have your answer. She is not the one for you, and your willingness to walk away is your greatest power. Men who are afraid to lose a woman are the ones who always lose her. Men who are willing to walk away from a connection that is no longer serving them are the ones women fight to keep. As we wrap this up, remember that the goal is not to fix her behavior. The goal is to master your own. When you stop reacting to the cold and start leading through the hot, the dynamic of your dating life will change forever. You will no longer be at the mercy of a notification. You will be the man who stays centered while the world and the women in it fluctuate around you. That is true masculine power. That is how you turn a cold moment into a lifelong connection based on respect and genuine desire.